and they don't know what they're missing. But you do. And now I do. It's not fair. They deserve more than...
I decide what everyone deserves.
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation.
And today we're covering, this time, not a manga, or even a comic, or even a light novel. We are covering the Art of Wish concept art book.
Yes, and this is, of course, based on the 2023 animated musical fantasy film produced by Walt Disney Animation Studios.
Yeah,
and
we all
released
know
by
this.
Walt Disney in November of last year. We're coming up for the anniversary in November of this year.
Right.
So we thought this would be a good time to talk about the Art of Wish, which didn't really make it into the film itself.
Yeah, ironically. But before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, the notification bell to get updates on future podcasts and Little Paws videos.
And thank you for joining us, for subscribing, sharing our videos, commenting, and so much more. We appreciate you so much, especially.
Yes.
So we did a poll on our Paws community tab and asked, would you like to hear a review of the Wish book?
Yeah.
96% of you, over 60, said yes. So
Yes.
here we are.
Yes. And we definitely wanted to cover this because it's something we actually wanted to take a look at for a while. And it was really hard for us to even get this book, whether to buy or to get as a rental. And this book originally came out within a few weeks before the release of the movie in theaters. And it was supposed to be some type of special thing for people to get in honor of the film. And people did get it, but they chose not to read it until after the film because it contained spoilers. And after they saw the film, and they were like, okay, that was a thing. Then they saw the art book. And then after that, it was all over. And Disney never expected in a million years that their concept art book would get more of a following than the actual finished movie.
Yes.
And so
are
we
part of that fandom.
Yes.
And there's many reasons why we recommend you read or look at, or both, The Art of Wish, written by Stephen Rebello and Kimmer Brofman by Chronicle Books. You can get it from your library now. You can order it
Finally.
from Amazon to purchase, although the price has increased now that interest has increased in the book itself. It was running $23, now it's $32. But we recommend that you get a copy from your local library and check it out.
Right.
There's some of the most beautiful artwork I've seen in a concept art book, and Rascal loves to get them. She's gotten quite a few. If you want her to cover any of them, either on her channel or on Paws, let us know in the comments. But the artwork in here is so beautiful. And then you get to hear from the people who produce the artwork and had the concepts and the visions and things, and you learn how much more beautiful and better this movie could have been if they just stuck with what was actually produced for the movie.
Pretty much. And yes, of course it does feature the Starboy and the villainous couple on their own separate pages. But the thing about the book is, while those are the two things that people love the most about it and was shown online, there is so much more to it. Those are just some of the highlights. There's actually a lot more information on Asha, a little more about her family, about the original storyline they had before they swapped it, different versions of Asha and different outfits and things before they chose this final one. Valentino looking like an actual baby and not a 50-year-old man.
Yeah.
Lots of different things that attribute to it.
Two of my favorite things. One are seeing the concepts for the actual inhabitants of
The Hamlet? Or
Yes.
Rosas? Okay, making sure.
and Rosas. And they were dressed so beautifully and had all this beautiful clothing and costumes. And they chose not to put it in because they wanted them to look like a bunch of poor commoners. But when you see the concept art in the book, it was beautiful.
Commoners.
Everyone was looking regal that lived there.
Right.
And that made more sense than having everyone look like they're poor.
Why do you keep saying
He's doing them a huge favor
Oh.
by letting them live there, not even charging them rent. It's like, why did you do this? So much beauty was left out. And also, My second favorite part is seeing the backgrounds for so much of the Hamlet and the surrounding area that were left out. Even the little, that's not a cottage, but the house that they were supposed to live in.
Yes.
And you can see that it was so inspired by Emperor's New Groove and Pacha's home.
Yes.
And the art from there. And it looks so much more fun and inviting and eye-catching. And they chose to put them in boxes and have them live in boring places next to the kingdom because they're poor commoners.
Why? I don't understand. And they even address that in the book itself, is that in the original storyline before the change, there were actually people that knew Magnifico and Maya were evil in the original story, so they sneaked away and ran off to far ends of the woods where they couldn't be found, and they built the Hamlet themselves. They did everything by hand and lived off the land, made everything themselves so they did not have to be found or risk of being found by the king, which was a pretty interesting idea and really speaks to a lot of those much older films and older cultures. However, this storyline was dropped because they thought it would be better that everyone just loved Magnifico from the start and then Asha find out he's the bad guy. It didn't work out. So they kind of pushed to try to keep the Hamlet idea there. So while they kind of met them halfway, they kept a part of the Hamlet, but instead of it being far, far into the woods, it's right next to Rosas, and they say it's like a suburb. And it's so awkwardly put there that they said it doesn't make a lot of sense, and we know that. So we're just gonna say that it's a part of a magical place, because having this low-level plane and a high-level plane doesn't make agricultural sense, but that's what we're stuck with. They literally tell you, we know it doesn't work, but that's what they told us to do.
So there's lots of things that didn't work in this movie that actually worked in the book.
Yeah.
And the most fascinating thing is that the producers and the executives at Disney decided that 95% of this book didn't work.
Yeah.
The movie. And when you see it, you feel downtrodden. You feel let down. You feel cheated because
a little
again,
bit, yeah.
It's beautiful. And when they talk about different things that weren't put in, especially like the wishing tree, it's the last picture in the book, and it shows Disney and another executive with the wishing tree. And it's like, you have the audacity, but put this at the end of the darn book, but you didn't put it in the movie.
Right,
and
in the
then you also
storyboard.
show, yes, the storyboard was, it could have been animated. It's like, why would you even torture us with showing us this and not putting it in the book? There were just so many exceptional ideas and beautiful artwork that were just ripped. The heart was ripped out of the Wish movie.
Pretty much.
That's why I want to put it. They took the heart and soul, ripped it out, left the surrounding shell, and then told us that was the movie.
I guess so. And then you get to the other characters, and you could tell there's more life in them in the concept art than there is in the actual movie, and it's a little sad. Like, Asha had way more different outfits and even different color clothing before they chose this one. And some of them were just a little better looking. I mean, I can't say the one she has on is terrible. I mean, it's really inoffensive, but compared to what they had, and Bill Schwab did heavy research and analyzation, everything into different cultures from North Africa, and to get the outfits looking accurate to the culture, and then also giving a Disney spin. They were really trying to get this down to a T to where it looked great. But because they overhauled everything and they got rid of any African reference really in this movie, they just kind of put her in a regular standard outfit, which again is inoffensive, but it doesn't really stand out to you as much as a lot of the outfits when they were in the Hamlet.
And there's some that the clothing was beautiful, and it wasn't that it looked regal, but for someone says, yeah, but she wasn't royalty. Well, the way that the clothing was drawn and colored, it just looked beautiful. It wasn't a matter of her trying to look like royalty. It was a matter of showing that amidst all the things this movie claimed was going on, there was beauty all around them, and the characters were happy until Asha let them know they weren't. But
no.
I think the artwork depicted that, and it's
Yeah.
like, again, Disney said, nope, can't be that happy. Take it out.
Ooh,
We
no,
do
you
not
didn't.
want the people to be that happy. And there are versions of Asha in here, especially two that are my favorites that were just perfect. And why they chose to give us a watered down, washed out
no. Not even
version
a
of her,
dress.
that they really tried to make her look, what's the word I usually use?
Commonplace?
No,
Or
they try to make it look like, if you look at her,
it doesn't stand
you
out.
don't know who she is or what she is.
Vague?
No.
Well, something where indescribable, I guess. It's like,
Where
okay.
you look at her, you wouldn't know what nationality or anything she is looking at her.
You call it ambiguous.
Ambiguous. Thank you. She looks ambiguous, and it's like, but you claim that the purpose of this movie is to give focus to different characters in different areas
Background.
and show, the diversity of Disney. And then someone got afraid and pulled back because
Why?
when you look at the artwork in the book, all the characters were darker. And
Actually,
then suddenly
yeah.
you get to them in the movie, and they're all more pale or very pale. And it's like, why
it's a
would
little
you
off-putting.
do that? There are just things about this movie when you see the finished product that don't make sense in terms of what we were being told and what we got.
Exactly.
So again, we're going to state this before Rascal goes on. We don't hate Disney.
Exactly. Look
The
at all these
movie
movies we've been
is
covering.
Could have been a heck of a lot better if they stuck with what they had these artists and workers create. The stuff was beautiful and
change it?
magnificent and fantastic. And we're not even going to get on the references. We're just going to leave that out.
Yeah.
We're just going to stick with the book. But if they put all these elements together, this would have been a blockbuster movie that people still would have been talking about a year later.
Exactly. And as you're talking about with the characters, you could tell, like I said, a lot more heart put into them in their designs on here, and the ones they show on Instagram as well for the artists who drew particular ones.
Yes.
Like Valentino legitimately looked like a cute little baby goat. And in the movie, immediately before he starts talking, he doesn't look that bad. But once he gets the deep voice and Alan Tudyk starts speaking through him, it's off-putting, and they make him look like he's much older and he's 3 weeks old. And you don't understand why they thought this was funny when they had all these adorable little baby versions of him that were wholesome, and they didn't use any of it.
Yes.
And then for the Starboy, and we did look, and yes, while they don't really specifically state about a romance being in there during that page, granted, there's a lot of hints throughout the book that was gonna be sort of a theme in here, because Rosas, they claim, had the theme of the rose, and the rose majority has been used in the Disney films for romance. So why wouldn't we put two and two together and think maybe it's in here? And with the Starboy's different designs, all of those look really good too. And whether he was going to speak or stay mute, either way, the character would have stood out and at least felt like more of a character, because the plushie they decided to go with in the end, just for a lot of people, especially here, didn't really feel any attachment to it. There were some that found it adorable and plushies, and they did buy some merch, so it did work on some people.
Most
but
of the
it
merch
just
was marked down 80 and 90% in stores.
right,
so
at least here,
it
yeah.
was a success.
So yeah, I think they would have sold more merch. It would have been more memorable.
Yeah.
If they had stuck with the human design, even if there wasn't a romance, it still would have made an impact. And there were some that insisted, well, it's going to be the grandfather reincarnated as the star. And admittedly, that is a generally good idea, but for a different movie. And it was one idea. They pretty much planned anything out with Star. They had romantic, they had platonic, they had familiar with looking like the grandfather and, like, I guess, giving a little bit of hope. All of those, they had gone through every possible relationship they could have had. And they chose the one where it was literally nothing.
I would have even been satisfied if they didn't make him human, but stuck with the expressions that were given to him by Bill.
Yeah.
Because when you look in the book, they've got a page where they show these expressions Mickey had, and he had taken Star and given him every one of Mickey's expressions.
Right. Then we could see it.
More lovable and more expressive, and seeing that he really had personality.
Yeah.
And they just wiped it clean and decided they didn't want to do
Just
that.
have him grinning all the time.
And if they had done that even without making him human, you could have seen where it would have been possibly marketable and a plushie that people wanted to buy. But the version they gave us is bland and non-expressive and dull,
unfortunately, yeah.
and just doesn't do it.
And then you also have the teens in there, which, granted, yeah, 7 of them was a lot to handle, but they did the 7 dwarfs, so it shouldn't be that hard. But yet, lo and behold, they didn't do anything with them. And when we kind of looked through the book, it looked like they were starting to work on them, and they actually looked like they had more personality and unique designs in their concept version. And it looks like they only go as far as Dahlia, and then the rest they kind of just, here's designs, we're not going to let anything else in there, because you literally know nothing about the other friends as you're watching the movie or reading this book. You get as far as Dahlia, and that's it. And even then, the designs of them actually were closer to looking like the 7 dwarfs supposed to be referencing. So I didn't understand, and people kept saying this book, especially for Dahlia, why would they change the designs to something that was just sort of okay, to something that was more reminiscent of the dwarves? You could tell they really were trying to reference them in their designs and their outfits, not just the personality and the traits and everything. They were trying, and then it's just like got thrown out the window too.
And referencing what you're speaking of, Rosas, I wanted to turn to the page and read it because we have a lot of people say that, we're just giving our opinion. Well, this is based on the concept art book on page 68. It talks about how they came up with the design for Rosas and the graphic approach. It was really pretty. They didn't use this anywhere in the film, I think, except for in 2 spots. But what's most intriguing is what's on page 69. It's a short paragraph. And if you say this was not originally meant to be a love story, then we're going to read to you that the things they were telling us in the videos and the behind the scenes was not true, because the book says roses are common occurrence in fairy tales. The grim Snow White and the Rose Red, Joseph Jacobs' retelling of the rose tree, and the Persian fairy tale of the nightingale in love with a rose are just a few of the tales that pay homage to this particular flower. Representing beauty, rebirth, and love, roses have held significance in many cultures for over 5,000 years. Disney also used the rose's symbolism in similar ways. Snow White's lips are as red as the rose, Aurora, aka Briar Rose, clutching a rose while in eternal slumber, and most meaningfully, in Beauty and the Beast, as a constant reminder of our need for love. When the prince's heart rejects the enchantress, he is cursed to remain a beast unless he can learn to love and earn someone's love in return. Now, why would you put this in this book and say that it was originally meant for us to see the rose everywhere, on his flags, buildings, stained glass windows, Asha's costume and journal, even the cottage's kitchen sink? It was meant to be a love story, and Jennifer Lee and her minions changed it to not be about love.
Wait a minute! You can't say that about her! So, yeah, that's straight from the book. You can look for yourself too, or heck, look on the screen, because we're going to have it there right here. And the last part I guess to mention, last but not least, would be the original villainous couple, which you already know we really loved. And seeing them in the deleted scene was like not only just the classic Disney villains.
Out the hearts and souls.
Oh my gosh! And every time he seen come and saying, "Why would you cut this? I love this. Why would you cut this?" Because it was just like somehow evil and endearing at the same time, especially Pookie and everything that went on in that scene. It's like, well, it wouldn't have worked when we look at it, and to us, it did. And for a lot of people that felt like Amaya's role was sort of, I don't know, cut, non-existent or something, Well, now you know why. She was gonna be a villain alongside Magnifico. They decided, well, the story's gonna be better if we have her as a good guy. And for while some do prefer her as a good guy and the queen only as Rosas and helping everybody, great. Glad you found something good out of it. But for a lot of these people who are into the concept art and the animex and everything, and the deleted scenes featuring her, she kind of had more of a presence as a villain more than just a good guy. She was important to the story. She was a threat, even if she didn't use any magic. And she was a lot more memorable in those too.
So what do we recommend?
And Charo.
Yes. Kitty. Get the book yourself and see for yourself. And then make a judgment or an opinion based on seeing what was taken out. Then you can compare the movie to the concept work in the Art of Wish. And you can see the truth for yourself of what the people who created all this beauty said.
Right.
Not going by what you hear the executives telling you, not going by the behind the scenes where they changed everything, but seeing what these people who were laid off, the majority of these people were laid off and fired, what they had imagined for Wish. And it was such a beautiful idea of how this movie was going to be. I don't personally understand how these people that are in charge at Disney didn't appreciate all the work and beauty that was done and could not see the far-reaching impact that the original ideas would have had.
Right.
I'm not in charge of the studio. It's not my studio. And it's their choice to make their decisions. And that is that. But looking at what I see in this Art of Wish book, I would have loved to have seen this come to fruition and come alive. Because I guarantee you, this movie would have sold off the shelves.
Yep.
It would have been selling in the digital form like crazy. You would have sold more books because people would appreciate it. And again, we still be talking about this movie over a year later by the time it gets to November, and they would have made way more than the 200 million that they put into the movie. But you know, that's just how we see it. How do you see it? Let us know in the comments. Whether you agree or disagree, we really want to hear what you have to say. Share your thoughts with us. We love hearing what you think. And sometimes your comments can help us see things in a different way. So never feel like you shouldn't comment or you think that we're going to be judgmental or rejected.
Right.
We always love to hear what you think. And we're always honest and transparent with you how we feel. So we're just appreciative that, you know, as our specials and our family, that we can have the discourse and talk like this and everyone can respect everyone.
Right. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and video videos, favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. Thanks so much again for joining us. As always, you are special. And look forward to November when the anniversary of the Wish movie we got comes out. We're going to have a top 10 countdown on the 10 things that the Wish movie actually did right.
Right.
That's right. You heard it here first.
Right. Some positivity
so
there.
Stay tuned.
Thank you so much for watching. Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.